We hope you brought the aloe and sunscreen.
Bullshit.
Because these takes are scorching hot. Now, get ready for some raw,
You want it raw?
gritty, and unfiltered takes from the old man, Don himself.
She can't say the truth because it does make her look like an idiot. Because that's what she is.
These are Pop's Takes, right here on BB Nation Radio.
Bullshit.
Oh, yes, and we are back once again with another edition of Pop's Takes right here on Backwoods Veterans Media. As always, I am J-Dub, and sitting here next to me is the old breed Marine himself, good old Pops.
Hey, guys and gals, I'd say ladies and gentlemen, but some of us Marines and stuff aren't known to be real gentlemen today, so.
That's fair. That's a fair statement.
Anyhow,
y'all too busy munching on
good
crayons
to see
to be
all. We had a
gentlemanly.
great weekend. I hope everybody had as good one as we did.
By God.
Beautiful weather. Got to go to the coast and spend some time with J-Dub here and my youngest daughter and her husband.
Yeah.
And Miss Marcia and
Marcia.
Mariah.
I was going to say, it
Mariah's
it tends to
Sasha,
be
okay.
Marcia from time to time, but
Well, I thought that was Miss Moise. Anyhow, yeah, Mariah and Sasha and Jeremy, and then the little one, Miss Rosalie.
oh, yeah,
And,
their little one.
yeah, she's we just had a good time all the way around. Caught some fish.
Yeah.
Hey,
Went down there, got the motorhome all set up
Oh,
down
yeah.
there at the hunting property
Oh, yeah,
down there
it was
just
great.
out of Nehalem. And
oh yeah, it was great. We had a good weekend, and looking forward to next weekend. I just talked to my son-in-law Dave, and made sure he had the from my old boat that he took the depth finder and stuff out of it and put it in his new one.
yeah, that's going to come in handy here this next
Well,
weekend because we're going to be going out doing some crabbing.
Yeah, going to have it for the crabbing and all that good stuff out there at the Halem Bay.
Well, I was going to say, if you can't find the channel, you're not going to find the crab.
Well, I pretty well know where it's at by heart anyhow. But, old Dave Jesse and we used to do a lot of that down there.
Well, that's the thing about sand bottoms, though. Channels shift.
Yeah. But that channel has been there for
Forever.
years. Yeah.
Right?
It's gotten a little deeper over the years because of the fact of some of the sand washing out and down farther.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyhow, yeah, that's our next thing on the agenda is going back down to get some crabbing and some clamming and maybe some more fishing in.
Right. Well, the
I'm
weather,
looking forward to it.
with the weather, with what that's looking like, excuse me, and as well as with what the tide tables are looking like this weekend.
It sounds
Oh,
like
my God.
looks
You
like
talk
it's
about
gonna be
some
another great one.
change in tides. Got a 9-foot difference between the two.
Well, Justin, you have to remember something, J-Dub. It's been almost, over 2 years now that with my health and everything, I haven't been able to get out and do all this stuff like we used to.
Right.
And now we're starting it again and getting able to do it. I'm really enjoying it very much, especially having all my family involved like they are.
Absolutely.
So anyhow, only one thing that I found out this weekend,
Okay.
it kind of really, the cities, the counties, the states, and even not so much the nation because they have to go through the Congress to raise it. But these states and everything, they've got limits now. Most states have got limits on how high they can raise the taxes at one time, right?
Right.
So what do? How do they get their income raised up every year? What do?
They keep going up and up and up.
No, they can only raise it so much.
Well,
yes.
yeah.
So once they reach that and they still want more money, what do?
They find a way to tax people more.
What do they call it? What do they call it?
What, raising the debt ceiling?
No, they call it fees.
Oh, yeah.
They charge fees on everything, and they keep raising the fees.
Yeah.
I mean,
that they do.
I can remember when you registered a car, you own a car, you only register 2 years, I think it was. It's always been 2 years here in Oregon. But then when you got that, and it cost you $10, and it went for the 2 years. And then
Used
it
to
went
be.
up to 12. And I think the last one was over $60 for my car, almost $300 for the motorhome.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about fees right now. I just had to renew the tags on my pickup here this last week, and oh my God,
Well,
$182. for
Right.
tags. I was just like, are you kidding me right now? Thank God I did. Thank God I doesn't have to go through DEQ testing, because that would have been another 25 on top of that.
Well, see, county only gets part of your state tax.
Right.
I know some cities have city tax and everything, but there's a general rule: the general population doesn't have that city tax.
Right.
So what do? They start charging fees.
Yep.
We went down. I remember when you used to pay $3, and that was high,
Mm-hmm.
to dump your tanks, your waste tanks, and all that on your vehicles.
Now it's 5, 10 in some places.
Not even 5, but you go to a county parking area
Right.
where you get to right down to the water, or load a boat into the water, or whatever.
Yeah.
It went from $5 to $10, and when's it going to stop? They just keep raising the fees. If they can't tax you to get it out of your check and when you through taxes, they just raise fees for you to do anything. And the same way with your hunting and fishing and all that.
Right.
What do? You go down, you buy your license, you put in for tags, you get your tags, you pay a good chunk of money for that. This went up. So then you go out to hunt, right? What happens? What do you do? Huh?
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at Josh's comment. He goes, $10 for 2 years. I thought you were older than dirt. You don't remember having to trade beaver pelts?
Not quite. Pretty close. Not quite, pretty close.
Indeed. Yeah, sorry, man. That's not our bad. That's the folks down in Southern Oregon with that bootleg fire down there,
Yeah.
which is brutal right now.
Right. Well, that's because they don't have biologists.
293,000 acres right now. It's crazy.
Well, that's because they don't manage the forest properly.
Well, that's what happens when you get deadfall. But anyhow, going back to your rant.
Okay. Anyhow, where was I on that? The counties, they just start raising money. Well, like car taxes and everything. Okay.
Mhm.
And they went up. And then you go to hunting fees. That's what now, after you've bought your license and your tags, and all that money is supposed to be going into the
It's supposed to be going into management.
management of the fish and wildlife, right?
Right.
No, they don't. I mean, by law and by the Constitution of the state here in Oregon, I don't know about other states, but in this state, it says in the state regulations that that's where that money's supposed to go. But
That's where
now
it's supposed to go.
they called it loaning to the other places where they want to have their own private little fees or their little private projects, so to speak.
Yeah, they're little pork barrel projects,
Right.
as they're also known as.
And I guess that's part of being a blue state. But
It's crazy because, you take a look between just the wildlife management and the forestry management. Dean made a comment here talking about the wildfires and everything. Well, talking about the smoke from the wildfires, because I guess apparently thanks to all the smoke out from out west, they're now under air quality advisory back there, and he's almost to Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So he's clear out there to the East Coast. So it's amazing what happens when that stuff gets up in the jet stream.
when
But,
it gets up there, it keeps on going.
Right. But, it's crazy. You look at it, and it's just been so mismanaged over the last 30, almost 40 years. And this is what happens when you put, and I say it time and time and time again, this is what happens when you put bureaucrats and lobbyists in charge of organizations that should be ran by biologists and scientists.
Exactly. That's what you and I were talking about the other day. It's just ridiculous. You got people that don't know anything about what they're supposed to be doing,
No.
trying to go in there and tell us how to manage forests. And they won't, and here's the thing that gets me about the whole thing is they'll lease this for timber products or timber
Yeah.
production. They'll release that out to one company.
Yeah.
Well, the company takes the logs off it and everything in the lumber, paper, whatever.
By the way, speaking of bringing in organizations, little shameless plug here, Oregon Hunters Association. Here's to you guys. Anyhow, go on,
You got
Pops.
Well, you got they release to people to produce or to get the timber off, right?
Right.
So they won't let the timber, that won't make them clean up after themselves. They just leave it lay, all the stuff they cut off the limbs and the underbrush and all that.
Right.
And just leave it lay. Well, that dries out, and guess what that does?
It turns everything into it. All it does is just create more fuel for the fires.
It's like putting gasoline on the fire.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and
But-
especially with how hot and dry things have been, especially over the last few years. I mean, not even just so much as during the last few years, but I mean, just during the hot and dry summers, you know, the trees and everything else, they dry out over time. Especially when you got all the moss and there, especially out here on the west side of the states, we get all the moss and everything else, and even the black moss that's on those trees over east, on the ponderosas and tamarack and shit like that.
But
That stuff is so dry, it
it's dry
takes
when they cut
nothing.
it.
Yeah, it takes nothing for it to go off.
Well,
And then you add in all that fuel that's on the floor, that's all the deadfall and everything else that's just been left there to rot over the last 30, almost 40 years now. And what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah.
We're seeing it now.
I have another going on with that lease bit, though.
Yeah.
Okay, we were talking about hunting and fishing fees and all that.
Mm-hmm.
In this state, anyhow, they lease it out to the people, companies to harvest the timber. The timber people, the people that bought the timber and they leased the land for that, they turn around and lease the land to another company, a large company, let them buy out their lease.
Right.
So what do they do with that lease? What do they do for it?
Well, it has to be bought out.
After they buy it out, what do they do?
Explain. This is your
They
your
charge
deal.
you. All right. They charge you to hunt on that property.
Oh, you mean like businesses like Weyerhaeuser?
Yeah, that's a start.
I mean, a company that's getting subsidies for wildlife damage, yet
Yeah.
they're going to charge you to go hunt to get rid of the wildlife,
Well,
but they're already collecting public subsidies.
yeah, that's supposedly damage hunts. In other words, these wildlife is destroying their products that have already been destroyed.
Yeah.
And do you know they're not buying it or buying that lease because lease will run out in a certain amount of time.
Absolutely.
By the time that the timber that's been planted and everything, by the time it's up and big enough for them to harvest, the lease will then run out.
Yeah.
So the only reason that they're buying up the leases is to go out and bilk us hunters and fishermen and all that to get on their property. They charge you to go in, walk in, and go hiking,
Oh, yeah. It's ridiculous.
going horseback riding. You're not doing anything.
No,
but walking the
I
trail.
get it that they're now play devil's advocate here. I understand they're a private entity. They're going to try and get their money one way or another. The deal with business is that you're in business to make money,
Okay,
no matter what the industry is. However, there's a point where it's like, okay, ethically, is this the right thing? Such as and I like using Weyerhaeuser because it's a prime example of what it is, because they're collecting those subsidies, those tax, with public tax dollars.
They're getting that out of your fees and stuff that you're paying to
Yes.
hunt and fish.
And then they're going to turn around and double charge you a permit to be able to even go onto their property, even just a walk, and let alone even be able to get a key to the gate to their properties. Oh, and by the way, folks, you only give out like 1 or 2 of those permits per property. So it could be a 50,000 acre lot, 1 permit. Oh, and by the way, that's only good for you and 1 other person that you take in with you. So even if you wind up getting an animal down in there, guess what? If you have only a basic recreational permit, you can only walk in. Even if you get one down, you can't. They will not allow you to drive in there with a vehicle and get your animal out, which sucks. It really does, because, for folks like, as yourself, Dad, that has a lot of medical issues and things like that, you're not able to do that. So that just wiped out that whole access to that area for you. To be able to, or not so much as the access, but the huntability for you.
Well, I want other people to understand what I'm talking about here, though, is one thing. This property that we're talking about, guess who owns it? You do. I do.
Oh, yeah.
It's federal and state property that they're using to do that on. And to me, I don't know how it is in other states that much because it's been years. It's been over 20 years since I hunted back in the Midwest, back in Wisconsin and Minnesota.
Dean chimes in and he says, hog hunting in Texas is the same way. They beg people to come help them because they're overran by hogs. You do go down there and you have to pay out the nose to hunt. Well, there's a lot of other states that do that too. So that, their non-resident fees are insane. They're absolutely insane. I know if you want to go, just pick up a general over-the-counter tag here in Oregon, as a non-resident, you're looking at paying anywhere between $900 to $1,000. That's just for your license and your tag. That's not counting anything else. That's just to be able to legally be out in the woods carrying during the season, which is absolutely asinine.
Well, yeah, that's that's my.
Your daughter-in-law just chimed in too, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What'd
Aunt
she
Deb.
say? What'd she say?
Aunt Deb says, hi, Dad and Justin. Wonderful to see your handsome faces.
Mine's not so handsome anymore. It's just kind of old.
It happens from time to time.
Yeah, but it's I'm still trying to recuperate from that great weekend we had. So I think I slept.
And trying to get yourself primed up for one this weekend.
Oh, I'm already primed for that. I'm ready to go now. I had a good night's sleep. And all
right. Now you got to say, by the way, did you ever finish getting all the crab pots all ready to go?
They're just about ready. I got to finish. I've got a little more sanding to do, and I'm going to repaint them before I take them out.
There you go. Well, we got the weather to do it, so might as well knock that out. Which, by the way, I got a line of some good crab bait. By the way, yeah, some old clucker.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
You talking about using your right leg or left?
Neither. Let's just say someone's donating some chicken to the cause.
I know that Dave's going to be bringing some beef parts.
Oh man, so that's wild. That is
I've
wild.
used all of it. I'll probably put some crab attractant on the bait anyhow. So.
Okay, like what? What's your go-to?
Well, you buy it.
Okay, well, what's it? What's the brand? What's
actually?
Tell us about the product.
That's the first time I'll be using it, so I'm looking at the.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I may get 3 or 4 products just to see how they all work.
So you're window shopping it,
pretty much.
Okay, all right.
But I might buy a couple more pots. I've only got 3, and with 3 or 4 people in the boat, I can go ahead and get 2, 3 per person.
Yeah, it's 3 pots per license holder.
Yeah,
with a limit of 12.
Yeah,
in the dungeons.
12. Yeah, 12 per.
Yeah, 12 dungeons, 12 male, 5 3/4 inches across the top.
I even had to pick up a new gauge because I couldn't even find my gauge.
Oh my goodness! And Carl, to answer your question, yes, I did, and yeah. So tomorrow, which by the way, tomorrow I have an interview with our friends over there on Woe Radio. I'll be talking with Richie Redneck Pimp tomorrow night on their program about our fun little experience here over at the Four Horsemen Hotel up in the Oshkosh. So if you're able to, be sure to tune in for that one. That's definitely going to be a good one. So
all right,
be talking about that. So anyhow,
yeah, I kind of got some stuff off my chest about that. I don't know, your other states and everything, you got any comments to come back on with us? Why, you let us know. We're right here.
By God, as always. So,
but that was my big peeve. When we go up there and I go to wasn't even going to launch a boat or anything, just going to go up in that little parking area.
Mm-hmm.
And to use that parking area, they want me to pay $10.
Paying $10 for a county friggin' day use fee at a boat launch. It was just like, are you kidding me? It's ridiculous anymore, man. It really is. Well, it's like, here's another one as a prime example. So I have an America the Beautiful pass because of being a disabled veteran myself. I got that free military veterans national park pass.
Well, I have
okay.
I have the
Well, here's the thing. It's supposed to be good for like day use areas and going to, national monuments and things like that. So you don't have to pay the fee. I mean, it doesn't count towards, camping and things like that. You get a discount, but you don't get in for, free or anything else like that.
Well, see, my state
Even
went
says
up.
it on the back of the card. So here over the 4th, me and High Tech and Mariah and the Dapper Sapper, Aaron, the whole Backwoods Veterans crew, minus yourself, and a whole slew of other people. We all went up to Ocho National Forest up there by Big Summer Prairie to go camping for over the 4th, right? Well, so on one of the days, matter of fact, it was the Friday we got there. So it was just myself, High Tech, and Miss Mariah. So we go up to Walton Lake up there. Okay. It's a campground / day use area for the lake that's up there. It's in the National Forest. It's a National Forest recreation site.
Okay.
I took my pass out of my wallet, say, hey, I got this covered, slid it up there on the dash of the truck, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that way whoever was coming by checking passes or whatever else knew we were good. No shit. Like not even 5 minutes after we get there, we sit down because we've been out driving around all day, checking stuff out. And we stopped and decided we were going to have lunch. Josh and I broke out the jet boils and everything else. And we were playing with the outdoor toys and everything else there on the picnic bench and stuff and fixing lunch for the three of us. And I look over and I see the campground host come driving down to the day use park area.
Okay.
There by the boat launch and stuff. And we're sitting there watching. And next thing you know, they start walking up and down the parking line where the vehicles are parked. They walk out of sight and they walk back to the cart, get back in the cart, go up the hill, come back down the hill, walk back in front, and then turn around and left again. We're like, okay, whatever. So we go back, we sit down, we have our lunch and everything else. We finish up. I mean, we were there for probably like a half hour, 45 minutes tops. Not that long at all. Just long enough to sit in the shade at a picnic table by the lake. Beautiful day up in the Oshkosh. Not a problem, right? Go back to the truck. There's a note on High Tech's windshield. This pass is not accepted here.
Was that a national?
It was at a national.
And that pass is not accepted?
Apparently, according to every other place that you go to, every other recreational area you go to, it's good. But apparently at that particular one,
that's against the law.
See, now here, I've been trying to do some digging on that. I seriously have, because apparently the final discretion, quote unquote, comes up to the recreation sites host, which I think is odd because if you have that pass, that is good for all national parks.
Exactly.
Parks and recreation areas, minus the campgrounds. And give me, man. I'll even pull the card out and I'll do that right now while we're on the air. Screw it.
I would be on the phone real quick. I'll tell you that.
So, and it's funny because I told Dapper Sapper about it the next day. He was hot. He was just like, what? He's like, that's bull, because, he used to work for the Forest Service.
Yeah, I don't know who this.
So he was just like, oh, I know. Right. So, but anyhow, hang on. I got to pull the glasses off here. This is valid for entrance or standard amenity fees at federal recreation sites for pass holder and occupants of a single private non-commercial vehicle or pass holder and 3 persons 16 or older, where per person fees are charged. Not covered. Camping, tours, special recreation permits, etc. may not cover organized groups and concession operated facilities or activities not responsible for misplaced, lost, or stolen cards. And it's covered by U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the Forest Service, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Bureau of Land Management, National Park Service, and Bureau of Reclamation. Guess what?
I don't know where he's coming from, but he's wrong. And
That's what I said too.
And the thing is, what really frosts me is that he knows that pass is because you're a veteran.
I think he was a Biden voter.
That's how you got it.
I think he was a liberal.
No, he's worse than a liberal. He's a.
I think he was a Vietnam era hippie. He was a hippie from your generation.
No, even they were patriotic at least.
What, the hippies?
Yeah.
To a
Up
point.
to a point, yes.
Okay, let me rephrase that. He was one of those hippies that was spitting on you when he came off the plane. Baby killer. Loser.
Let me put it this way. All I can say is that they were very uninformed. Because
apparently so was this guy.
I mean,
say that pass was not accepted. Shenanigans, I say.
When they said
evil shenanigans.
When they called everybody that got off that plane or ship or whatever, they called them baby killers. They had no idea what they were talking about because it had happened once or twice with two different people, I think.
Right.
If I remember right. But every person that I ever served with over there, and I served for quite a while, probably more than most.
Yeah.
In that area, in that conflict. And I never saw anybody that didn't treat any Vietnamese person or anything with complete and total respect.
Yeah.
Now, I can't say that about all the Vietnamese people. Treating other Vietnamese.
Yeah, that's a whole other discussion for a whole other time.
Yeah.
So
I tell you about that friend of mine, but I won't go into it on this show. We'll wait till
next week.
Yeah.
So be sure to write that one down, Pops,
okay.
for note for next
all
week.
Right.
So because we are up against the clock, it is time for us to dip on out here. So final words of wisdom, good sir.
Hey, get all together with your buddies and gals and all that next weekend and have yourself a good time relaxing and enjoy the weather in the country and all that good stuff because our country is still the best country going.
By God.
And God bless all.
All right. Well, that does it for us here on this episode of Pop's Takes. We will catch you guys right back here on Facebook Live next week for another edition of Pop's Takes here on Backwoods Veterans Media. In the meantime, have a great week, everybody. I will talk to you all Wednesday over there on Spreaker for another edition of the Hump Day Hangover with host Mr. E.O. Complaint, a.k.a. Matt Crosby, U.S. Army veteran. So be sure to tune in for that one. Always a great time. So other than that, have a good one, guys. Take care, and we will talk to you all next week. Bye-bye.